kids. Good morning, everybody. We're going to give this a second or two to get itself figured out and let you all sign on so you do not miss 1 minute of nerdy real estate goodness. Okay. Everybody got their coffee, right?
Good morning.
Got my coffee.
Got my Christmas mug.
Got my Janet mug.
Janet.
There we go.
Froze for a second.
I'm unstable again. I'm unstable again. I'm sorry. I know everybody out there saying, what else is new, right? But I don't have a Christmas mug. I just have well, it's kind of a Christmas mug. I got it as a Christmas present a year or two ago. And I just love it. It's just like the best mug ever.
Love it.
Yeah. So we've already got 11 people on here. We got a lot of people want to hear about the changes. But first, we have to do our introduction because we have special guests today. We have the ever so fabulous Janet Dorsey. I left a couple of her middle initials out, but asked me about those later. And she is a dear, number one, a dear friend. Her and I have had, I want to say, a pretty darn good friendship over the years since meeting at CAR. And Janet is currently the Director of Risk Management for Southern California for Compass. And let's welcome Janet onto our program. I guess that's what we're calling it today.
Yeah, you've got a program. You guys you're famous.
And Diane Anthony, I love it. She says, who doesn't love nerdy real estate goodness?
Yeah.
I know, it's a great title.
Maybe we should change the name to that.
I was looking for something that said nerd in the background for my backgrounds because I always like to change those, but I couldn't find anything. I'm gonna have to make something.
Yeah, we're gonna have some stuff we can share, you know. I mean, we've got I can't say I get bored because Lord knows I don't, but I'll get on Canva and I'll just start making stuff. So anyhow, Janet and Lori take part every Friday in the industry leaders call that CAR has. And boy, we got some changes coming up. And we're even going to have another special guest star, Janet. I like that. Amy from CRMLS is going to be joining us later on in the program to discuss some things that they've got going on. But I'm going to let you two discuss, except for I get to kick it off just so I can watch Lori squirm. We're going to talk about COVID.
I don't mind talking about COVID. We've had no new changes for a long time. So we didn't have to wear that out anymore. It was getting pretty tiring every other day talking about something new, but we suddenly do have some changes. And so we brought Janet on to talk about it with us today because as Lisa mentioned, she attends those Friday calls like I do. And this last Friday, I had a bunch of different calls coming in. And so I was muting it every few minutes. And so I missed some of it. So I caught the notes later, but Janet was on and said, wow, what'd you think? And I'm like, I missed half of it. So we're going to bring you on so you can share. And, you know, Janet's a dear friend of mine as well. And we are fellow compliance nerds. So there's no one better who's going to help relay some of this info than Janet.
I also see here in the comments, it says, and Janet's a good cook.
Who said that?
Bonnie K. Goats.
Oh, Bonnie. Hi, Bonnie. I love cooking. Bonnie's awesome. I won't talk too much about her, but she's crafty. Love her.
We'll have to go to the nerdy real estate craft corner one of these days.
She's great.
Now we'll have to hear about some cooking tips later on our other phone calls. So yeah, so we have the new governor's order that came out last week, which is affecting pretty much everybody. We're in the SoCal group. Is Ventura in the SoCal group?
Yeah, we're in the SoCal group.
Okay.
It's effective now, basically. I mean, every single one of these counties, I think the governor said, if hospital capacity drops below 15%, then we're in Uber purple, I guess we're calling it. I mean, we're shut down for Uber purple for 3 weeks for stay at home again, and essential services again have are still intact, but some, you know, bars, restaurants, hair salons, that kind of thing. It's really a shame that these businesses can't operate like they normally do. But for real estate, we're still essential. So I guess the message here is not, let's not abuse that, right? I mean, we want to make sure that we stay essential and that we abide by the governor's orders and Cal OSHA's orders specifically related to real estate. I know Lori and I were just, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just saying, I know Lori and I were just kind of talking about what the actual Cal OSHA real estate guidance actually says. And, you know, everybody talks about open houses and can we do them and why aren't they essential services and that kind of thing. So we couldn't find anything in there specifically that said no open houses. However, in this industry, we've been talking about this for forever. Let's not actually do an open house. It's not really essential for you completing a transaction. And I heard a quote, I think it was Gov Hutchinson said it on a call, and he said, if the work that you're doing is essential to closing a transaction, then that's the work that you can do. Door knocking, dropping flyers off, even doing this time of year, you're going around and doing drop-bys or pop-bys is what people call them, right? Not pop-eyes, chicken, but pop-bys.
Now you're making me hungry. Maybe I'm going to pop by Popeyes.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, even those things, even though you would like to do them, those may not be essential to the transaction. Now, if you do it and they're your good clients and, you know, you're practicing good social distancing and sanitizing, you know, do what you got to do. But, you know, if it's real estate related to generate business, you probably should not be doing that, right?
Right, and it's an important distinction because early on we were fighting to become essential, and when we were deemed essential, everyone was interpreting that as everything we do related to the real estate industry is essential, and that's not actually the case. And so, you know, yes, Janet's correct in that some of the language in the guidance is not 100% specific. It's not as specific as a broker like myself would want it to be. And so you have to look at multiple documents and read between the lines and infer some of the intent and make decisions based on that. And, you know, she mentioned Gov Hutchinson. He always explains things in terms of taking the conservative approach. And so until somebody gets in trouble, and then we know for sure what's allowed and what's not allowed, let's take the conservative approach. And so when we talk about the term being an essential worker, part of the guidance, I'm looking at another computer here, so let me move it. Part of the covid19.ca.gov page has a updated, as of December 3rd, essential workforce page. And they identify the different sectors, and we fall under sector 13, which is industrial, commercial, residential, and sheltering facilities and services. And so then it itemizes all of the different fields that fall into this category. And when you scroll down to numbers 11 and 12, I'm going to read it, and here's where we understand what we can do. So number 11 says workers responsible for the leasing of residential and commercial properties to provide individuals and families with ready access to available housing. Okay, so that talks about our leasing services are allowed because we're immediately providing housing. Then number 12, residential and commercial real estate workers limited to scheduled property viewings to a potential buying party. This does not extend to open house viewings nor viewings with more than one buying party at a time. So it's very specific there in that you can show a buyer a property, but you can't do an activity, and they name open house viewings or viewings with more than one buying party at a time. Now, it doesn't specifically say you can go on a listing appointment, but when you logic it out, you are going to be providing the availability of housing, by getting a new listing, and you're going to be facilitating a transaction because the seller needs, wants to move. So you're going to be facilitating that. So by extension, that activity is allowed. But what's not allowed and is outlined specifically is no dropping. Let me pull that section out. Let's see. All information must be delivered electronically. Discontinue providing handouts or other types of promotional or informational materials. Now, this is from July 29th. This is where the state is still referring us to in their updated page. They're still connecting us to these rules that really haven't changed. And does it say dropping? No. But what it does say is discontinue providing handouts or other types of promotional or informational materials. So with that, we have a pretty good understanding that definitely for the next 3 weeks, we have to limit what we may have been becoming a little lax on over the last few months.
Mm-hmm. For sure. I mean, it's so funny because the word of the guidance is I think it's pretty clear, right? If you're saying discontinue, flyers and that kind of thing, I mean, come on, that is door dropping, right? It's things that you would be dropping by or leaving someplace, and I think it's pretty cut and dry.
Well, it is to people like us who think it through, but to others who simply say, well, show me exactly where it says I cannot door knock. Show me exactly where it says I can't drop a flyer. That's where I feel it's unclear. And they can't possibly include every activity that we do in our industry to spell it out that clearly. So that's why we do have to infer, from the intent of the rule, this applies accordingly to all these other activities.
Yeah.
And so in that regard, yeah, it is clear.
Yep.
And also, too, the market's of such a point right now that the only person who's benefiting from an open house is the listing agent holding it open, because houses are selling. It's not like, oh my gosh, my listing's not going to sell if I don't do an open house. No, that's not true. And we all know that right now. The market is such, you put a listing on, it's going to sell. And it's going to sell quick unless there's something wrong. And, yeah, do we miss the chance to go out and do our self-promotion? Is our livelihood? Absolutely. But think about the small business owner running, let's say, a personal training establishment or a small coffee shop. And that person now is completely hamstrung. We're heading into the holidays. You own a little cafe. And guess what? You're down to takeout orders. Now we need to put ourselves kind of into how essential is really dropping a flyer right now. You know what? If you've been keeping in touch with your clients, making yourself known, there's plenty of ways to do that. You don't really have to go out and do those touches. Yeah, is it going to be kind of a pain not being able to go and, stand there and hand somebody something? I just know I don't want anybody at my door handing me anything right now, because the numbers are nuts and we need to respect that. The virus doesn't care how bad you need to work. The virus is going to be the virus. And I spent a lot of time this morning reading people posting their own personal situations with the virus. And, I don't know how I got it. I've been so careful, blah, blah, blah. I thought I was negative. It turned out I was positive when I saw these people. And it's like, who wants to be that person saying, oh, remember when I came by to give you your little Christmas gift? It turns out I was positive. Who wants to be that agent? How are you going to do more damage to your business?
So true. I think we should be very thankful that we're still deemed essential and that we can still transact.
Mm-hmm.
So I would hate for us to abuse that privilege and then lose it for some few bad actors that just don't want to follow some guidelines or interpret guidelines differently than what we've described.
Right. Absolutely. I totally agree. Well, good. So I think we covered that topic well.
Yeah, I think we beat the coronavirus.
And the change
To
on
that.
that one is it's back and better than ever for
Mm,
getting infected.
mm.
It's tighten up, you know.
Yeah.
We all need to abide by the new order and how it applies in our life in general. And then by extension, you know, we just know that our business has to tighten up as well. So, you know, I'm hunkering down here for the next couple of weeks.
Me too.
The same. It feels like it's Groundhog Day every single day.
Well, what else did they cover Friday? What was the other changes?
Ooh.
I feel like David Bowie right now. Changes.
Well, so certainly we hope 2021 is going to be better than 2020 was, but that doesn't mean that changes aren't going to be afoot at the beginning of 2021. So for a while, some of the CAR directors, and if you've been on any of the planning meetings, I know Lori now sits on the REBS Board of Directors, which is the real estate business services. I was going to say brokerage services, real estate business services arm. And they're the ones that are responsible for all the products that CAR introduces to you. And we've got some awesome products that we use on a day-to-day basis. Most notably, Transactions Zip Form Edition, right, which was purchased by Lone Wolf about 1.5 years ago. Transactions is getting a little friendly competition at the beginning of the year, which is going to give you, the agent, some options for choice of who you're going to use for your forms provider. So at the beginning of the year, you're going to start seeing some changes on CAR's website where you currently go to access Transactions Zip Form Edition, the little bubble there that's on the left side of your screen. It's actually going to say Realtor Secure Transaction. And when you click on that Realtor Secure Transaction, it's going to give you a couple of different choices. You can either continue to go to Transaction Zip Form Edition if you use this through the CAR member benefit. And then you're going to have a new choice by using Glide. And Glide is going to have all of the CAR transaction forms that reside within it. It will also have things like a electronic signing platform. I know that they're also going to have a broker edition. One of the things that when I heard about it, and of course I had heard about Realtor Secure Transaction before, but I didn't exactly know what it was going to entail, when it was going to launch, how this was going to be integrated with what we were doing. And when I heard about it on Friday, I think I spent the 10 minutes that they were reviewing it with my mouth hanging open, because I thought, oh my God, this is going to cause confusion at the beginning of the year. It's like, we don't need any more confusion at the beginning of the year. But, thank God for the weekend, because the weekend is a calming influence on me, and I have time to sort of process and think about, what does this really mean to the realtor population and the community? So what happens if your brokerage uses Transactions Zip Form Broker Edition, right? I know that's a mouthful, but if I'm using Broker Edition, then you're just going to continue to follow the advice of your broker. The brokerage I'm in, we currently use Zip Form Broker Edition, and I sign in through zipform.com, right? If you use it that way, that's what you're going to continue to use, unless and until your broker decides that they're going to do something different, which they could decide at some point that they want to use Glide. And so you'll have a different way of logging in to get access to your forms. Lori and I had a quick conversation about this. What day was that? Was that Saturday?
Saturday.
And so we were just talking about how that might impact the brokers, how it might impact your PEDs, right? Because there's some information that I didn't say just yet, is that at some point, those PEDs and Zip Form are going to not interact with each other anymore. So some changes are coming up, and they did announce some training dates, and I had them here. So starting really in January 20th, I think is the date, there's going to be some training for Glide forms. Then they're going to do training on January 25th for Glide disclosures. And then they're going to do another training for Glide forms on January 27th. So changes are afoot.
Yeah, and I know when we initially had the conversation on Saturday, you know, many agents in our industry do struggle with the change, you know, when we do any kind of change. And I try to put it into perspective in that, okay, change is fine. We need change. That's how we evolve. And thankfully this time, the change is not, you know, a complete 180 degrees from what we're used to, because if you've already started using Glide for your PEDS and for your AVIDs and for your TDS and SPQ, you're already familiar with it. And so again, depending on what your brokerage does and what your brokerage instructs you, you know, if you're independent on your own and you're using zip forms and you like Glide, you might want to just check out the full Glide platform under the secure transaction option, because they are going to now have all of the forms. And so if you like it and you're accustomed to it, that should be an easy transition. There's no back and forth. You can certainly use both however you want, but they're not going to communicate back and forth to each other. So
Right.
wherever you start one transaction, you want to stay there. Otherwise, you just have stuff in two places. So I'm not too worried about it. You know, as a broker, I'll be able to make sure my agents understand what to do, how to function. We use Broker Edition, so we'll have to see what that looks like. But you know, yeah, it's another change, but we're adaptable. Our industry is all about adapting and being flexible, and we just have a few things all at the same time, and that's okay.
That's okay.
And
We're not so busy right now.
we have a question from our audience of 30. We're going to 30 people. Question from Carol Lynch.
Everybody's staying home today, apparently.
I think it's the wind down here in Southern California.
And she wants to know, will we need to pay for Glide?
So Glide will be a member benefit to you if you're using it the way in which you use it through Zip Form or Transaction Zip Form Edition today. So CAR is just offering you another member benefit transaction, or not transaction platform, excuse me, a way to get to your forms and then to get those forms out to your clients with e-signature.
Okay. And if anybody else has any questions out there, throw them on in the chat. That's my job today, monitor that chat. And
That's your job every time, because I never monitor it.
I think the key is just don't panic, right? I mean, it is a change. Absorb the information.
We're talking about realtors here.
I know. I know. That's why I'm saying it.
Maybe this group itself won't panic, but if the people watching can kind of spread the word that there's going to be a change. If you're using Glide, you may want to get a little bit more familiar with Glide. Yeah. That's about all I can say about that.
Yeah, I mean, we're basically going to do the same thing. We'll just have it in a different platform. And quite honestly, I mean, the functionality with Glide is pretty easy. It's very user-friendly. And now we'll have more forms. We'll have all the forms. So that'll be pretty neat.
Yeah. Also, it was made pretty clear that while there wasn't an end date or anything mentioned for Zip Form, I mean, Zip Form or Transaction Zip Form Edition is going to be available at least through the end of 2021 and potentially beyond. So there's no reason for, just because the change is coming, there's no reason for anybody to, you know, immediately do something come, you know, the middle of January, end of January. You have time to absorb the change and then decide what's best for your business.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. Yeah, we don't all have to switch on January 14th.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
For sure.
Good.
Laura, you want to talk about DOJ?
Sure.
Oh,
so,
wait, Lisa, you're muted.
Yeah, Lisa's talking to herself.
I'm sorry, my gardeners are here. And so I've been trying to keep myself on mute. But we do have a question in the comments, and it's from Bonnie, and it's not about Janet's cooking. She asked, I had texted an out of area agent once with specific questions about a home. He texted me back and said he had never been in the home. Are agents required to visually inspect or see a home if they are representing it? I'm intrigued by this question.
That's a wow. So they listed a home and they never saw the home. Is that what she's saying?
Yeah.
Wow.
I can't tell you about it because I've never seen what I'm representing.
Yeah. So, you know, there's not a specific part of the statute that says you have to see the home. However, the standard of care for the Code of Ethics and the Department of Real Estate would interpret it very similarly, in that your job in representing the client and the property would require you to see the property. So I remember when I first got in the business, so back in 2002, there was a training I went to, and during the training, the attorney that was hosting the training was talking about the agent visual inspection. Now keep in mind, this is pre-AVID. This is before that form existed. However, in San Diego, they had a similar form already in use at that time, which, you know, I didn't work that area, so I didn't know, but he shared that with us because he did some work for brokers in San Diego area. And so he was explaining that there had been a lawsuit where an agent did not complete that form in San Diego and was sued. And the line of questioning the attorney took discovered that in the last 12 properties she had listed, she had never been in any of them. And so
What?
she really got into trouble. I don't remember what happened, but you know, she lost that specific lawsuit, not because she didn't visit that one property. You know, there could be circumstances why you wouldn't, but her pattern of not being in the properties in her last 12 listings was considered you know, inappropriate for her role, that she should have had a higher standard of care. And this isn't court of law, that had nothing to do with the Code of Ethics. But that is our standard in the Code of Ethics, that, you know, you have to be a competent representation of property. So that's what I have to say on it.
Well, I want to add too, though, that, you know, as a listing agent, you have a duty to do your visual inspection, whether or not you complete it on an AVID form or you do it on a separate disclosure or addendum. The seller's disclosure, their TDS statutory responsibility, their duty to the buyer is to provide that TDS or an ESD or some other facsimile if they're exempt. And part of that disclosure, part of that seller disclosure, a complete TDS or a completed ESD, that involves the listing agent's visual inspection. If it's not provided at the same time that TDS is provided, then you're giving that buyer an additional 5 days to review your listing agent visual inspection of that property and giving them a potential reason to exit the contract. So
I mean, you're right. And it is in the civil code that agents do a visual inspection. I suppose you could document you were unable to do it, and that's maybe how they're getting away with it. But
it could be
terrible practice.
And during COVID, right? Because that's a time frame that we're talking about, and it's a great question, Bonnie. During COVID, you can actually do a visual inspection with the assistance of your seller client, right? If they're the ones that are in the home and they don't want to have anybody come into the property, they can videotape it. You just have to disclose on your visual inspection how that visual inspection took place. So for instance, and even if you have the actual video with technology these days, you can attach that video inspection that you did with the seller walking through the house, showing you things right on their camera. But that's a very good question. I think most agents are able to get into a home this day, you know, right now. So I don't know why they wouldn't.
Which is interesting because we got quite the bunch of comments coming in. Kai Anderson asked, how does it work with MLS entry only agents? And then to tag on that, Daniel Wu said, so if you're just a sales agent, not a realtor, this does not apply to you. So those two kind of go hand in hand, I think, on the same thought process. So what do you guys think about that?
Well, if you're just a sales agent, meaning a real estate licensee and not a realtor, it doesn't matter. I mean, we all fall under the Department of Real Estate rules and guidance. DRE is not realtor specific. The DRE is real estate licensee specific. So that visual inspection statutory requirement is a state of California law under the DRE. So you've got to do it.
Yeah, and the realtor would have to abide by the code of ethics in addition to the state law. Now, I mean, you could argue that, well, I only had access to the outside of the property, and therefore that I did my visual inspection on the outside. So that could be a possibility. Yeah. As far as the MLS entry only, same thing. If they're licensed, then it applies.
Well, speaking of stuff like that, I know Janet mentioned those 3 letters, DOJ. Was that brought up some more? Anything else that we can shed on that? Since this actually kind of segues into that a little bit, the difference between realtors and real estate licensees.
Yeah, so I can cover it a little bit. Do you want to go ahead?
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Lori.
So, we talked about it a couple weeks ago that there was the lawsuit filed and that NAR did come to an agreement with the Department of Justice. And so there's a 45-day time period where they have to work out the details of what will be implemented. And so when we spoke about this a couple weeks ago, I mentioned that we're in that 45-day period. So we don't definitively have the details of what's going to change for us and how these changes will roll out, including any new forms that we have will not be finalized until that period is over and all the details are worked out, and CAR can work with NAR to ensure that whatever changes we include in our listing agreements and maybe even our purchase agreements are compliant. So CRMLS does have some changes that they have to make, as do all the MLSs across the nation. And so we'll put the link in the chat. But there's a couple of things that they will be changing, and they have a notice on the CRMLS platform when you log in to read it. And I encourage you guys to go through it and just click through, read the FAQ, read what it means. And then we are trying to schedule somebody from CRMLS to come out and present on this topic specifically, so that they can
hear more about in a little bit.
Yeah, so I will I'll give Lisa the link so she can pop it in since she's already on there. And that's it. But they've got a couple of simple changes that they can adopt very quickly, and you can read more about that in that link. So that's it. I mean, there were no real changes other than they're working on it.
Yeah, no real changes. A lot of discussion about things like lockbox access and that kind of thing.
Let's talk about that a little bit, because I think that is, and guess what? Amy's here, and Amy doesn't even get a warning. Amy is just being thrown right into this conversation. Let's see, she'll be joining us here in just a second, I hope. But, I know that's kind of word on the street that I've been hearing from other agents is like, what about lockboxes? How do we do this? What's going to happen? I mean, any insight on that at all while Amy's coming to join us?
Yeah, the discussion really centered around getting, key safe providers to be able to accommodate access. And, of course, this is still going to be the seller's decision. You can make that decision or election in your listing agreement with your agent, but there's a safety issue here. You're a listing agent and you're supposed to ensure that you have, or you should at least ensure that you have knowledge of who's entering the property and when, and whether or not they're licensed. I know that even in this day and age, even when we have MLS members only accessing key safes, sometimes others are entering the property that are not licensees. We've heard, not great incidences where, an agent has given a client access to a property that's vacant, and they just go on in under the agent's name, which is, not a good practice. But you know, what will happen when we have less control over that? And so there's a lot that needs to be worked out. The DOJ doesn't know how real estate really operates, and quite frankly, I'm not sure that I would want the DOJ dictating every little aspect about how real estate runs. So I think it's up to us to make sure that whatever comes out that NAR votes on, you know, great feedback is given to how this can work better for the real estate community and protect sellers in their home.
Yeah, I think that's probably going to be the most interesting adjustment, but I think it's basically going to come down to just everybody using call before showing codes.
Yes, I would hope that the CBS codes with providers like Supra become a little bit more dynamic and secure, because it's my understanding that a CBS code it's the same code. So once you have it, you have it.
Yeah, that's true. Which is so strange that that's the case. But
yeah,
you know, when we look at a population of Orange County realtors, you know, our membership is 15,000, and I believe our MLS only is around like a couple of hundred, 300 or 400. So we're not talking every other realtor on the street is suddenly going to be attempting to get in properties. It's a very small population that will figure out how we handle that. So I don't see it as too much of a change in our typical practice, because it's going to affect so few people. And sometimes those MLS only are like appraisers. You know,
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up.
license.
We already have appraisers that will say, well, I have access. You know, I've got a Supra lockbox key. I can get in. And it's like, okay, well, how'd you get that? You know, I mean, you don't sit there and grill them, but you know, I mean, they can be what is an MLO? Is that what they call them? Boy, it's been a long time since I uttered those initials.
Well, the other thing too is that you have to remember, California MLSs operate differently than MLSs around the country. There are some association-owned MLSs that don't allow anybody other than association members to have access to the MLS. So a one-size-fits-all MLS set of rules and key safe access just doesn't exist across the nation. So these orders, the lawsuit that the DOJ brought against NAR is taken into account the entire country. So it may not impact California key safe access as much as it might other states that have specific association-owned MLSs that prohibit anybody other than realtor members from accessing. Here in California, it's a little different. We're always different.
Because we're just special that way.
Yes, we're special.
Well, I think it's going to be an interesting January. You know, we have a lot of things happening with COVID being, you know, thrust back into the forefront, which I think is really the thing that everybody should be most concerned about right now, is just keeping yourself safe and well, keeping your clients safe and well. You know I've gotten a lot more lax the past few months than I was, you know, gosh, back in May, it was like I felt like I needed to go out in a hazmat suit, and now it's just like la-di-da-di-da, yeah, I got hand sanitizer, I'm good, you know. And I think we need to kind of get back into that mindset. You know, what's our most pressing issue right now? Yeah, we're going to have the DOJ stuff come up, and that's going to change quite a few things. Yeah, we're going to be having transactions change a little bit, you know, and we're going to have some other changes coming up that Amy from CRMLS is going to talk about. But the number one thing is we got to be safe, or else all of this doesn't matter. And
That's true.
You know, I hope that the agents that are putting the pushes on for the open houses and everything understand that this is way worse than it was back when we had our initial shutdown. I think in Orange County, the ICU percentage availability of beds is like down to 12%, which is really kind of a horrific thing when you think about it. And Janet, I don't know how it is in Ventura County, but you know, sandwiched in between both of us is LA, And if we're at 12, they've got to be probably single digit at this point. So, it's real. This is real stuff. And we need to protect our clients, and we need to remember that, protect ourselves, protect our families, protect our clients. And it's not a time to be saying, how many people can I get through a property?
Yeah, for sure. I want to mention one other thing. Maybe you can put it in the chat. We didn't talk about it in the pre-meeting here, but there's a Prop 19 FAQ now for people to take a look at. Have you guys talked about that before?
No, we really
We
haven't.
talked about it. It wasn't out yet.
Yeah, so it's out now, and there's a little PowerPoint that goes along with it.
Ooh, maybe next week we'll do that.
Yeah, it's not, again, everything isn't completely baked because they don't know, they don't have the answers on how this might impact someone who's selling a property today, and whether or not they can apply the Prop 19 benefit on a property that was sold, before April 20th or April 1st, whatever the date is for implementation. But I thought that was really good. I mean, it's an FAQ quick guide thing that is now produced on CAR's website. If you're good about Googling things or searching for things on the CAR website, just go to their quick guide section. CAR Legal's done a fantastic job of putting that information out there. And at least you have something that you can give to your client or email to your client, because everything should be electronic, right?
Mm-hmm. And there's an interesting comment in the comments talking about, appointment scheduling. And I'm just going to kind of flip it back to COVID a little bit. And then I want to do the Prop 19. I want to like a whole Monday Prop 19 thing, because we had a lot of questions about that during the economic throwdown. I mean, everybody in the comments was asking about that. So I want to, Lori and I are going to put our Prop 19 hats on and go see what the FAQ and the slideshow is. And thank you, Janet, for telling us about that. But this is just something, just to remind people. We have a comment saying, by the way, at least kind of an interesting note, a fellow realtor showed a property with an appointment at 1 p.m. There were 12 other parties there with a 1 p.m. scheduled showing time frame. This is the kind of stuff you got to report maybe to the DRE, because there's no way anybody is disaffecting anything. It's like having your own private little COVID party.
Right. Out on the front lawn.
Yeah, that's
house.
That's an open house. I mean, that's not.
Were they all inside the property at the same time, or were they waiting to get in?
It said that there was 12 other parties there with a 1 p.m. scheduled showing time frame.
Wow.
So everybody feels that they should be in there. I don't know whether, maybe we'll get the comment in here whether they were inside or not, but who's going to decide who is the party that gets to go in first? And this is, this has been a common problem. And I know people hate showing time. This is actually when showing time can be really helpful, blocking out chunks of time between showings to be sure you're not having back-to-back showings, to be sure that you're not having enough people. I find that my clients are really liking it. And Kai says, no waiting, but some went in anyway. Hey, great. COVID party in somebody's home. Yeah, let's do it.
Awful. That's again where people are not looking at the intention of the rule. They're just saying, well, I followed the rule. I gave everybody an appointment. Okay, well, does the rule really have to specify they can't have the exact same appointment time? Like, we have to use
apparently so, Lori. Apparently it needs to be specific.
Yeah, this is pretty sad. But that's what I mean about people being lax, I mean, it's like, come on, guys, you're standing in the middle of this COVID stew. Do you want to be there? I don't know. I don't know. I'm just going to be really super, super, super careful. I want to be around in January. I don't want to play COVID roulette and see if I'm going to pick it up and how I do.
Yeah, I'm already paranoid with the winds kicking up because my allergies start going, and then I get sniffly noses, and the wind is going again today, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna
No,
be
I always
paying for
sound like a
this.
COVID victim just from allergies. Oh,
Oh
heaven.
my God.
Okay,
Now I know Amy's coming in, right?
yeah, Amy, why don't you go ahead and put yourself on camera? We'll get just the four of us on here, so at least I can take.
There's Amy.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, we can take a picture of all of us. 1, 2, 3. Oh,
How is everyone this morning?
Great.
Awesome.
Good to see you.
wonderful, wonderful. Well,
So
and
happy
Janet,
to be here.
oh, we're happy to have you. And
And I'm
Janet,
glad I got to listen to Janet today. Wonderful information.
Oh, Amy, I miss you. I miss seeing you in person.
Me too. We'll make sure to give each other a big hug.
Yeah, when we get vaccinated and we can see each other again.
Yes.
So I'm going to hop off now. You guys, thank you so much for having me this morning. I hope it was helpful for you and entertaining to some degree because you guys are always great.
we've got a pretty good thread of comments going in Facebook, so I think this has been good. I hope so. Let us know on Facebook what you think, and we'll let Janet get off to her next thing, and then let Amy tell us about what's cooking over at CRMLS.
Bye, Janet.
Bye, guys.
Alrighty, so hi everyone and good morning. Thank you for having me. So I'm really excited because I like to think of myself as an honorary nerdy realtor. I do check out your posts and your videos all the time, so really excited.
Thank you.
So I'm going to talk to you guys about our new update, which is coming in mid-December, and that's our Matrix X. So there is a really cool enhancement that we're doing into Matrix. So this is for all CRMLS Matrix users, and you're going to get a more modern user interface. So what does that mean to you? It's just going to look better. I like to remind everyone that we haven't had a major facelift inside Matrix in a very long time. So it's really cool to see what this is going to look like. And if you guys want a sneak peek, I'm going to drop our registration link into our chat in the Facebook. So make sure that you all come in and register for a 30-minute sneak peek this Friday. Now, what are the major items you guys are going to see? Well, besides the actual layout, it's going to look a lot more modern. All your items are going to remain where they are. All of your contacts and saved searches are going to remain. It's just going to be a new look. We have a couple of new icons. So it's going to be easier on the eyes. For me personally, I felt like I always needed to zoom in a little bit, right? Or a lot of it to just get that into a more comfortable feel. So that's going to change and it looks a lot nicer. And the biggest update that I'm really excited about is the modernized email layout. So all those auto emails that you send your clients are finally getting a gorgeous uplift, which I don't know about you, Lisa and Lori, but I feel like that was a #1 thing that we heard a lot about.
Yeah, I think anything we can do to modernize how we present ourselves to our clients, that is a big, big plus. And I think that the layout's easier to read too. I mean, I saw it from something, I don't even remember. I think it was
our broker and office manager sneak peek last week.
Well, and this one I saw, I want to say when they were showing out a member benefit to the CRMLS focus group that I'm a member of. And they had shown the Matrix 10 layout for, I want to say, Providence, Rhode Island. And it was like, wow, how come we don't get that? I want that. It looks really good.
Well, you're getting it now. So for those of you who are wondering what it's going to be like, it's going to have the actual thumbnail of the property and then the more details on right next to it. So it's a little bit bigger. I feel like the one that we have right now, it's pretty tiny. And then, so this will look more like it's coming from you versus it's coming in from a system. And for those of you who are in the chat, I did notice this webinar is at 10 a.m. So I am refreshing that on the webinar homepage. So feel free to register and you'll get notified that is 10 a.m. on Friday, December 11th.
And I'm sorry, my gardeners are just out here doing who knows what. Maybe they're chopping down the tree in my front yard and they didn't tell me. I don't. So I'll put myself back on mute. But I want everybody to know this is like exclusive Nerdy Realtor private preview time Amy's doing for us. So, guys, register now. Invite your friends if they're not already Nerdy Realtors. I know we signed up, I think 6 people today alone. Let everybody know that they can come and get this little private time to see what's going on.
Yes, and then after the sneak peek on Friday, I'll also make another announcement for another sneak peek that we're doing for Nerdy Realtors the following Friday. So it'll be CRMLS Fridays at Nerdy Realtors.
I like that.
Yeah.
Now Daniel was a little bummed because now he says he has to find something to do Friday night at 10:30. But that's Daniel. I'm sure he'll find something. He can watch the repeat of this. Well, what else are some of the big changes? So we got email, we got an easier viewing. Is there anything else? Is there any benefits that are going to be able to be added on with this upgrade?
So this particular upgrade is inside Matrix only. So it's all Matrix related. So no additional benefits or products, but you will see new member benefits in 2021.
Yay!
And I'm only giving you the 2 tips and sneak peeks for you guys to register on Friday. Once you're registered, then you'll get the full treatment. I gotta make sure you guys come in and sign in and register. Can't give you all the goodies in the promo.
Right. You're on mute, Lisa.
Well, thank you, Yvonne. I see that you are now registered.
Yeah, somebody said that they couldn't see the link. So if you could post it again. Sorry, the blower's right outside my window. Can you guys hear it?
A little tiny bit. It's not bad.
Okay. And I'll just stay on and annoy everybody more than I normally do.
No,
So I went ahead and put that link back in.
Thanks for being a great partner, Amy, and making sure. I mean, she reached out to me and said, "Hey, we've got some changes. Can we come to your group and let them know about it?" And so glad that you could be here. And we're doing that special training on Friday, and then another special training the following Friday. So we're lucky to have you guys as good partners. Thank you.
You guys are all honorary nerds over there at CRMLS, and I can't wait to come back and see you guys, I hope soon, because I miss going over there live for our focus group meetings.
We truly are nerdy here at CRMLS and happy to be partnered with you. And, Lisa mentioned the focus group. So for those of you who are interested in learning more about the focus group, I'm going to put my email on here, and then I'll put you in touch with that group so you guys can check it out. But we do have a focus group that we provide important presentations to about up and coming technology, products that we think might work for you. And essentially the focus group really gets to decide whether or not they see value in it right now, how they want to implement it into the system, or if they even care to implement it at all. I know there's been a few that everyone's voted down. So we at CRMLS do want to let you know your voice is heard, and the focus group is a great place. And unfortunately, we're not able to meet at our headquarters to do this live in person, but we are doing it via online. I believe it's Zoom with a great group of people. So please make sure to email me if you're interested. So with that, again, register. And I'm going to put that link back into the chat. And if you're interested in our focus group, go ahead and email brokers@crmls.org. I'm going to put that in the chat as well. And I'm looking forward to seeing all of you on Friday.
Fantastic. And we can't wait. We can't wait. We love being special little nerds.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you. Have a great day, guys.
Later. Okay, Lori, anything that you can think of to wrap up this fun-filled episode?
Unfilled episode of changes.
Yeah.
I do want to throw out a plug for Orange County Realtors Independent Broker Alliance. We have a forum tomorrow, Tuesday the 8th, from 11:30 to 1, and it's 2020. The title is 2020, Turning Changes into Opportunities. And we have myself and President, or now immediate past President, Danielle Corliss. We also have the incoming president-elect for CAR, Otto Katrina, and we have our current NAR president, Vince Malta, who has now concluded his term. But the four of us will be just having a conversation about 2020 and what we look forward to in 2021. So I'll throw in the link if anyone would like to attend. Would love to have you there.
And if we're going to be throwing out plugs, I'll throw out a plug too, considering this is a group of compliance nerds here today. There's also going to be a risk management webinar on December 10th at 2 p.m. And it is updates from the Department of Real Estate Enforcement and Audits. So I think I am especially interested in hearing the enforcement side of things, because I know in our chat, we've talked about that a few times, and I will put that in the chat as well. I can't talk and type at the same time. If you guys all know me, it'll just be too much of an endeavor. But there is one comment in the chat that we have to say, and this one's from Yvonne, and it's congratulations, Lori, on being the 2021 president of Orange County Realtors. Just a little teeny weeny group. What is it, around 15,000 people?
Yeah. Just 15,000 and growing.
So,
Yvonne.
we are so fortunate that we have, well, I'm fortunate that I get Lori all the time, anytime. So, but that we have someone with her level of expertise that we can have here in the Nerdy Realtor group and help all of us. And, again, spread the word, guys. We got a lot of changes coming up, and we all know the acronym RDR, Realtors Don't Read. And if we have all of these changes coming up, we know it's going to be really difficult getting the word out. But if you haven't heard anything from your brokerage, or if you're at a smaller brokerage, touch base with your broker, or if you are a broker, be sure to touch base with your agents and let them know that we do have a few changes coming up. Don't be scared. We all survive. I think Lori would probably say, boy, Lisa, that wasn't the reaction you had when you heard all of this, because my initial reaction was, oh my God, this is too much change. But I thought about it. I can handle the change. It's dealing with everybody else out there that doesn't know it's coming. They hear about it when it's active. They don't have a good pipeline of communication. So if maybe an independent broker, or you're, a women's council group or something like that, let them know we're out here. Let them know they can come in and kind of get this information, and they can pass on the word. So then when these changes do happen, everybody's not sitting there freaking out and their hair's on fire and doing all those things that we know that all of us realtors do.
Yeah, exactly. We can handle all the changes, and it's difficult sometimes to time them with multiple entities, but that's okay. We're a resilient bunch, and we can handle change. And if nothing else, it's kind of a little bit of a quieter time right now. So you can jump on the webinars. We're all going to be home, and jump on the webinars, learn what the changes are. And, again, they're not 180 degrees different. I mean, I remember when we went from SoCal MLS to CRMLS. I mean, that was a big change at the time, and we changed lock boxes. I mean, fundamentally, it's the same stuff. It's just going to look and feel a little different. So we can handle it.
We can handle it. And I'm entering these things in as fast as I can right now, considering I'm typing in the link for one of them. And I hope it's right. And if it's not, I'll fix it. That's one. And then the other one,
You got my broker form?
yeah, I did.
Okay.
And oh, hey, that one actually popped up. Okay. And then let me get the other one in here. Anybody have any thoughts, questions, anything? Throw them in before we sign off here. And, you know, because, hey, that's the way we roll. Oh my gosh, this is way too long. I'm going to have to cut and paste. Let me cut and paste. Okay, guys, let's see. Let me get that link as soon as Google helps me. Okay, well, you guys don't want to sit here while my email loads, so we'll go ahead and call it a day. Laura, you got anything else you want to say?
That's it. Just there's a lot going on this week. Everybody engage, participate, and we'll see you next week.
Exactly. And all of you have a very, very COVID holiday season's greetings from us all. Be safe out there. Be safe. We want everybody here in 2021.
That's right.
Okay. Take care, guys.
Bye, guys.